Folks, has Cody Sanchez got you all hot and bothered about buying boring businesses? Have you done the research and realized that maybe you don't know how to fund them? How about using seller financing as equity injection? Do you have any idea what I just said? Well, we're going to talk to the concierge of small business lending and try to figure out what the heck seller financing as equity injection even means. Is it possible? Why it's cool? Let's go, Bo. What's going on?
All right. So equity injection is essentially down payment on a business loan. Okay. We call it equity injection. Just like in residential, we say borrowers. In commercial, we say sponsors. So just lingo. Yeah.
Got it.
Lingo. So the SBA world is changing a lot. We might have a lockdown here with the government at the end of the month. And I'm getting a lot of emails talking about what banks are going to do if that happens. Actually, I have a deal that's supposed to close. And the and when you register a loan, even if you're a direct PLP lender, there's an E-Tran system, and we can't get the loan registered for some reason, and the bank's like, what the heck? So, I mean, it's just we're under fire in a lot of different ways with commercial financing, with business loans.
Yeah.
Nothing's easy, but it's just be resilient, and we'll make it happen one way or the other.
Yeah.
So using seller financing as equity injection. So we oftentimes will talk about SBA guidelines being able to lend on a 7A up to 90% of total project cost. They recently changed guidelines where that 10% equity injection on paper can actually be seller financed as long as it's on standby for 2 years. Okay. So hypothetically,
tell me what that means on standby. That means like sitting in an escrow account, or what does that mean?
okay. So you got $1 million total project cost business
Okay.
acquisition. 900,000 is funded by the bank under the SBA 7A program. $100,000 the seller carryback, right? So essentially, I came in with no money.
Right.
So that what the seller needs to do, the seller needs to on full standby means that the first 2 years they can't collect payments on that 10% standby.
Got it. So it's not
And
in an escrow. It's payment. I like it. That's even easier.
it can accrue interest, but they can't get payments.
Right.
So hypothetically, you don't have to bring in any money. Now, I'm at a conference. Actually, I'm at my house right now, but I'm at a conference in Vegas, and I'm going there right after this. And it's all SBA bankers. And I go because Bo knows lending, and you got to meet all the different banks. I have banks from all over the world. I have alternative lenders there. And I had a conversation last night at the cocktail party with a very good SBA banker that I've known for years. And I was like, okay, the guidelines change here, the guidelines here. So I said, do you have any deals right now where they're structured like this? And she says, we do have a couple. And they said what they're doing, even though they're a direct lender, they're sending it into the SBA because they want the SBA to say, okay, this is kosher, or whatever the word is, to do this, right? Because even though they can sign off themselves, they're not taking the risk. So
makes sense.
Are these deals going to get done? Yes, but not all banks will do it. And I think it's going to be case by case.
Well, here's the deal, right? I've been through cycles like this before. We are in one. You've kind of started there, right? Lending is tough today. It will be tough for a while. But on the other side of this, there'll be new lending programs, new lending guidelines, because banks make money lending. That's their profit engine. They don't make money standing still being scared. So I'm convinced in, I don't know what it will be, 4 months, 6 months, whatever it is, this SBA lending, buying boring businesses will spin back up in a pretty aggressive way, I think.
Yeah, I mean, this is aggressive, right? I'm coming in with no money on $1 million acquisition.
Yeah.
I mean, come on, like this is like, so understanding guidelines, and then see, that's what the concierge of small businesses does.
Yeah.
I navigate with all these banks, and I try to figure out these headaches, and believe me, there's headaches. There's a lot of moving parts. The banks want to make sure that all the T's are crossed and the I's are audited because they want to make sure their guarantee is intact if that deal defaults, right? And that's the key. So I mean, people, it is a process sometimes when you get in the weeds and there's multiple parts, but it's just working through problems and getting to the finish line. I was on a call the other day, and a syndicate you'll find this interesting. Multifamily
Yeah.
syndicator. They were talking about economics, and I was going through the slides, and I was like, wow. I looked at where credit card debt is right now. Right, it's an all-time high. I got a little concerned. Like, I'm not one to get concerned, but actually listening to this economics call was like, oh my God, there's a lot of factors out
There's
there
a
right now.
lot of headwinds.
But what I was shocked about is there was the syndicator that I follow, and I think he's very solid. Like, he's very conservative, and that's why I like him. He's not
Yeah.
flashy at all. He's like very modest. And then he brought up on the call about really two big syndication firms, and one of them I went to their website and I was looking at, and they own a lot of assets. And he was like, he's trying to buy some of their assets right now, but what he heard is they're selling everything and they're probably closing their doors. And I mean, I think they have well over $1 billion of assets. So
Yeah.
the call was a little bit concerning, and I got to start plugging in more on yours because that's where I get my economic news. But I think we're in for a little bit worse situation than I originally thought, and I'm kind of curious on your input on this.
No, I've always been there. These are the words that I've come to adopt. There were a lot of financial engineers who got lucky with timing. Unfortunately, they were playing a game of musical chairs, and there's no chairs left. There are going to be plenty of syndicators that sell things that wipe out their equity, but they don't have to foreclose or mail the keys back. There are going to be lots of properties trading for 30, 40% less than original purchase. Lots and lots and lots. And let's be clear, there are financial engineers in the residential space. How many people came into Airbnb and just went into Dollywood and bought everything they could and did, DSCR loans up the yin yang? Folks, real estate investing is not easy. There are lots of ways to make money, but there are even more ways to lose money. And if you come in FOMO and just chasing easy money, you're going to get got. And dude, the pain is, we're in the first inning of pain.
Oh yeah. It was concerning to me, but I did interview somebody on my podcast, which was fascinating because he's done some business acquisitions, and I was really diving in. And the first business acquisition he did, he talked about what he did well, what he didn't do well. He came from working at a Big Four kind of accounting background, so he's really smart. But he says, listen, you don't need to be smart. You just need to know some basic principles. And this is where I made mistakes. And it was interesting because he's doing roll-ups, but he has not gotten any SBA financing. He's done deals where the seller financed each of the deal. The first deal he did, the seller financed 100%. Wow. It was pretty amazing. And so it's out there, and I think that's going to continue. So just know your tools. We talk about SBA on this channel a lot, and it's a fantastic tool. But always look for seller financing. Always look to get more favorable terms. SBA 7A is based, typically most loans are variable, so it's based on Wall Street Journal Prime plus a margin. And some of those rates are 11.25 right now. Now I do have banks that will refinance 7A loans. You can refinance a 7A to a 7A. Or you can refinance a 7A to a 504 sometimes if there's real estate. So there's solutions, because I have some banks right now that are offering fixed rate at 8.99, where a variable rate could be at 11.25 if you got a 2.75 margin. So just know what you're getting into and what type of deal. If the deal is very hard to get funded, you're going to be working with a bank that's going to be a 2.75 margin, because they're the only bank that's going to do that high risk deal. So just understand, it's just like pricing A credit versus B credit. They price the SBA loans the same way.
Folks, he is the concierge of small business loans. If you have any interest in buying a boring business or a small business because of what Cody Sanchez is doing, and I love all the work she's doing, but you need to be able to have somebody on your team to put the deal together, help you structure it correctly. Bo, if they want to have a 15-minute call with you, how are they doing that?
Go to boeckstein.biz, not .com, and go to one rental at a time and schedule a call there. It's very simple.
Yeah, boeckstein.biz. There's a big button that says ORAT, or one rental at a time. Click that, get 15 minutes. Well worth the time. Thank you, buddy.
Thank you.